Good afternoon. Apologies for my slightly janky backdrop. We are down at the bottom of the range. This is a barricade to stop arrows from going through, and generally where we keep all the trash. I will do a nicer backdrop for these spoke horse videos. Got my cup of soup, because this does take a bit of energy, this process we're going to do. It also makes chips fly off as well, so I'm sure you is going to end up in my soup, which is not what you want. Coming down, Molly? Don't shout at the cat, that'll be pretty annoying. Right, what we got here is a lump of Pacific yew, and I've got a fella who wants a 1.5 meter stick, so that's what I'm going to do for him. The other sticks I've done are much more like this, what we call a shillelagh walking stick. You can see that they end up real pretty. You select yourself a burr, a knot where another branch comes off. You try and find one in the shape of a stick like this, and you get busy and decide what shape handle you want. And then when they finish up, they end up all swirly and grainy and pretty like this. So I'm going to try and apply that same principle to this long one here. It's a bit of a thumb nook style handle, stand up and do that. So that's more or less going to stay as it is. We'll narrow it down a little bit from here. What I can do here before I start on my Yumi project is remind myself on working on branches like this. Because we're going to go at it with the draw knife first, then we're going to talk about the rasp, because you always want to use this and this together. Just got a fresh blade for it. So yeah, let's pull on this draw knife. Start down this end, the thicker end, and get it to even up to the top end, which is a bit skinnier. I won't do the whole thing here today. What I will be able to demonstrate is the use of the draw knife and the rasp together, hopefully, and also the spoke horse, the value of the spoke horse, Cooper's mare, pole donkey, which is funnily enough what I call my greyhound sometimes as well. It's easy peasy. Just keep on looking up the stick. Make sure we haven't taken too much away. Not much sapwood here, I see. I did sticks for a long time without one of these. I had a what you call it, a spoke plane. I'll bring that down with me. No, the spoke plane's still up there. But I think I prefer the draw knife, or at least this one, because it's sharper than the spoke plane that I've got. So I need to get my spoke plane sharpened up. Easy stuff. You want to try and keep it in a pole orientation. You can see exactly where your middle of the stick is here. I'm making poles out of yew. You have to be mindful of how bendy it is. So I'm not going to go too much thinner than the top up there, and it won't be very good as a stick. Although the fella has said he's not using it as a hiking stick, it's for banging on the ground as part of his sermon. So we'll keep that in mind in the design as well. Maybe put something sturdy on the end, or try and shore up the grains. This banging sticks on the ground is a pretty good way to make them split. Right, so we've hit an area where we can use the rasp. Whip them out, see if I can show you quick. Going over a knot like this. I've got no sharp knife, but the knife's still ripped out a little bit of wood just here from the other side of the knot. Put it back in there. Get our Shinto rasp, Farrier's rasp. We get the rasp, the almighty rasp. And instead of cutting, it shreds. Loads of little cuts. Really good for shaping as well. And just like that, we're back to where we want it to be. We've got rid of the dive, is what we call it, with the blade. Dives into the wood, goes in a direction that you don't want it to, runs with a grain that you don't want it to. So you can take your rasp here and just cross across those grains that are leading your knife to cut where you don't want it to. That's all we need for that now, really. And back to the, you could do the whole thing with that if you really wanted to, but you're going to be here an awful long time. It's back to the draw knife. You see some cool colours coming out of it. Got a pink sort of down this side where the heartwood and the sapwood mixed together. This is staying whiter. Really, I'd like it to be quite an orange stick. I think we're going to get quite a nice mixture of it, hopefully. There we go, there's the heartwood there. What I'll do is go as narrow as I want to on the bottom here, and then we'll chase that width back up and back to the area with the knots. Hopefully I've gone deep enough past the knot that I won't rip them up now, but if I do, I've got my rasp. You do need to make sure you've had your Weetabix. This takes a lot of energy and strength. Just a little bit more careful now as I get towards the tip. I'm going to lose wood through trying to finish the thing up as well. With the sculpting process, you just need to leave, well, you start with your big tools, and as you get close to the point where you want to stop, you just use smaller tools. Onto your rasp, then onto your sandpaper. Trying to keep in mind how much material you lose with each stage. If you want it just rough, it's not a problem. If you want it smooth and shiny, there's a long way to go yet. Including like 10 different grades of sandpaper. And all of those want to take a little bit of material away each time. Follow this width up the stick a little bit, rolling it around each time, making sure I don't go too deep on either side. Which I haven't realised with this bit here, it's attached to a little foot pedal that helps me clamp the stick down, because sticks are tricky to work on if they're not clamped, and they're quite hard to clamp. Of course, as you're moving it around, or as you're working on sticks, you need to move it around constantly. So if you're having to undo a vise, do it up all the time, you're going to lose your mind. So yeah, it took me a moment to get these things together. So I can't remember what equipment I had when I was doing this one. Let's have some soup quick. Started with axes and knives. It took a little bit longer, and I didn't have this either. I've only recently just built this. As I was making bows, it was a piece of equipment that you couldn't be without. And this as well. If you're dealing with raw logs, which is what you are when you're making self bows. Right, still a bit more to narrow down here. What I can do is move up to this knot here. Good eyeball of that. Got one on the other side as well. That is rasp territory. So let's do that. From the off. I have, haven't I? Yes, good equipment. Save you a lot of time, and more importantly, frustration. Frustration costs energy. And this is already quite energy heavy. Doing there, just taking the edge off of that knot there. Don't know if you got a good angle on it. Apologies. I guess what I can do here is just emphasize how important a rasp is to the whole process. And like I said before, you could do literally the entire stick process and bow process with a good rasp. You won't get the finish. It won't be time efficient, but it's just a really very reliable tool in getting the wood to do what you want it to. Let's put that back in there again. That was really good. What I'll do is flatten, watch when working through the bark. The cambium layer can really gum your tools up. Probably get a little brush and brush this sucker out. What I'll do is I'll flatten off this knot. And I'll give you a close-up. First, I'm going to get rid of that bark that's left there, just so it doesn't gum up my rasp anymore. A good spoke horse is worth its weight. This one needs a bit of love. Almost went on the wrong side of the knot there. It's senseless once again. Sorry if you can't see, but you got straight grain there, and when you come to a knot, the grain changes. So you might be able to cut through it. Shake the top off there just to make it a bit easier. But if you go too deep, you're going to rip your knot, and that's bad news. Let's work around the knot just quick. And back to the rasp. If in doubt, it might take a little bit longer. I'm not hooking in there. Stay there, please. Now, the sapwood and the heartwood, referring to you specifically, do behave slightly differently. Once you've got through your fibrous sapwood, you're into a much tougher wood. I wouldn't say it's easier to work, but it's different. I don't know, it feels less likely to gum up your tools like this. Get out of there. A little bit more. Cool. So what was like 2-3 times the size of that, wasn't it? It's now smoothed down and starting to disappear. We've managed to access the pole underneath without ripping away the material that's in there. So now we'll be left with these lovely swirls. We'll do the same on the other side, same on this one, same on these. Just run the rasp over them. Slowly but surely, it's got blood on it. Doesn't surprise me, to be honest. Lots of blades in this process. Yeah, that was about the biggest knot, the biggest problem. So now just rasp, rasp, rasp. Making sure we don't go too thin. hopefully we open up some more of this orange here, some of these browns from the heartwood, where the knots sort of poke through the heartwood. Yes, lovely stuff. Stick making is good. It's great exercise, it's very therapeutic, and you end up with a lovely thing at the end of it. Who doesn't like a stick, right? Probably lots of people. Yeah, who cares what you think? We like sticks. Sticks are good. Perfect. Thanks for joining me. I will be starting, well, I'm going to do a bit more of this, and then I'm going to start a Japanese longbow. So yeah, if you want to join me for that, you are more than welcome. Thanks very much. Have a lovely one.